In 2024, Radio Ukraine marked 100 years since its first broadcast from Kyiv. In this episode, in the Travel Radio series, we're looking at what's on the radio in Ukraine. There is just one digital radio multiplex in Ukraine, in the capital city Kyiv, and in early April 2025 it carried 7 digital radio stations. There are many more stations on FM though. Ukraine has a mix of private or commercial stations and public radio stations from Radio Ukraine. Radio Ukraine became part of Suspilna in 2017. That's the public media organisation which operates the public TV channels. On digital radio, you'll find Ukrainska Radio, or Ukrainian Radio, which is the first radio station of Radio Ukraine, broadcasting news, current affairs and other programmes. You can see from the schedule how the station broadcasts a variety of programmes alongside news, including on sport, history, economics and other topics. The Ukrainian radio website also lists the web feeds for regions across the country which provide their own local programming.
Українське радіо.
18 година.
Суспільне новини на Українському радіо.
У студії Анна Денько, вітаю вас. У МЗС Китаю перевіряють.
Radio Promin is the second station of Radio Ukraine and carries music and more youth-oriented programming. There are also programs playing jazz music, new music, and there's a chart show. Unlike the commercial stations, I haven't heard English language music on the station. Radio Kultura broadcasts cultural and educational programs, as well as classical music, audiobooks, and drama as the third station of Radio Ukraine. Army FM broadcasts a range of programs and music. It plays Ukrainian language music, but also songs in English. The station is operated by the Ministry of Defense in Ukraine. Priemy FM is a commercial radio station that features information and current affairs alongside dance, disco and house music. And Radio Maria is a Catholic radio station. Radio Maria actually broadcasts in many countries in different languages, including on digital radio in London. Turning to FM, and Hit FM is a popular music station playing English and Ukrainian language music. If you listen to stations in Europe, some of those artists will be familiar. Lux FM is another popular station transmitting in many parts of the country on FM, and Radio NV is a talk radio station. Radio Rocks plays rock and metal music, Kiss FM plays dance music, and there are also stations dedicated to classical, jazz, oldies and other genres of music and types of speech. My Radio found 31 stations on FM, including the independent public radio station Hromadska Radio. This is the Kyiv TV Tower, opposite the Durohuzhechi metro station and Babin Yar Memorial, where I believe the DAB Plus transmissions originate. The tower is the tallest structure in Ukraine at 385 metres tall. It was built in the 1960s and 70s and has no mechanical fastenings. Every joint is welded. For a few decades it was the tallest lattice tower in the world. Moving on to Lviv, which is the largest city in western Ukraine and the 5th largest city overall, there aren't any stations on DAB, but there are a range of stations on FM with over 15 services on air. Some of the same stations are available as in Kyiv and other parts of Ukraine, but there are also outlets like FM Galiciana, which has quite a varied playlist. The radioplayer.ua website has a useful page for listening to different radio stations and browsing what's available in Ukraine. As you often see with media in Europe, ad breaks are separated from the programme content, here with the word reklama, which means advertising. Some of the commercial stations seem to use DTMF tones around ad breaks, possibly for triggering the local playout of ads from different transmitters. Returning to Ukrainian radio for a moment, the Ukrainian Radio Symphony Orchestra first performed in 1929, and you might be able to catch a performance at the National Philharmonic Concert Hall in Kyiv. And an annual event on Ukrainian radio is the Radio Dictation of National Unity. To promote the Ukrainian language, a dictation is given on the radio and participants have to write down and send in the text. In 2023, from over 20,000 letters, there were just 2 winners who wrote down the text with no mistakes.
Українське радіо.
Radio Ukraine International is available for several hours a day on 1386 kHz, and you might be able to hear it at night in the UK.
Українське радіо.
Radio NV is one of 6 Ukrainian language stations available on the Astra 3C satellite, which has good coverage in Europe. We saw in Czechia how Ukrainian radio is available nationally as a DAB station there. On the radio, there were 2 songs which stood out to me in 2025. One of the English language songs you might hear on Ukrainian radio stations is Nothing Breaks Like a Heart by Mark Ronson and Miley Cyrus. The music video was recorded in Kyiv and featured the new Darnitsky Bridge, which crosses the Dnipro. And a popular song is Vdoma, which translates to Home, by Antai Tila. The Ukrainian group performed in Trafalgar Square in London earlier this year. When you look at the coverage maps and frequencies on some radio station websites, you can see where FM transmitters are off-air in the east of Ukraine. If you would like to learn more about radio in Ukraine, there is some information on English Wikipedia, but much more is available if you use something like Google Translate on Ukrainian Wikipedia. Thank you for watching this video. You can check out the playlist to see the previous travel radio videos in Germany and Czechia, and subscribe to see more videos in the travel radio series. In the description below, I'll put some useful and interesting links. Can you add any information about radio in Ukraine or share your favourite songs or stations? Please do leave a comment below.